but that's all right. Hey,
well, I do, but I run backwards and I get a 25 head start, 25-yard head start. So,
where is this?
This is in Brazil.
I was gonna say
Ao vivo do Brasil is how you say live from Brazil in Portuguese.
Ho!
This is tremendous.
Yes.
Look at this.
So we have a friend. We have a Brazilian friend that joins. I think he watches the replays. I think Guilherme watches the replays. But yes, so I had an opportunity to hang out with some hang out with some Brazilian officials, and we looked at a bunch of plays. This one was really interesting.
There is so much going on.
This is great video.
Play. Yeah, they got graphics and everything. They got the lower third working. It's outstanding.
Oh yeah.
All right. So look at the shield. We might have to go. We might have to step through the screen share, but look at the shield, and you know what's so low blocks, right? During kick plays.
Yes.
It doesn't really have to do with the timing of when the block occurs relative to the kick, does it?
I don't believe it does.
No.
As long as that ball gets kicked, we're in a kick. Yeah.
If the ball's kicked at pretty much any time during the down, talk about something.
Probably legally, though, huh, Brandon? Probably legally. We probably should clarify that. Yeah.
So that's what's interesting is you could have a low block and a rugby style kicker, you know, an hour later when I finally got my dance.
You never got it.
Oh, really?
No, you never got it.
If the ball is kicked well after the low block, that reverts the low block to a foul.
That's correct.
Even if it was otherwise legal.
That's correct.
So that's interesting.
And that block is within 10 too.
Yeah, this is a legal low block if it's not a kick play.
Correct.
Right?
So which means we can't just fire our flag as soon as we see the shield player blocking low, because we need to make sure that we see a kick.
Yeah, I agree. So mechanics on this, I know we don't have an end zone, but we don't need one. This is outstanding video. So if you're crew of 7 traditional umpires, is that what these guys are working?
Yes.
Or maybe crew of 5. I don't know. But whatever. Referee, who in the world do you watch on this? Man, I mean, you got to see it all somehow.
Right. Well, one person you don't need to watch unless there's a low snap is the punter.
The punter.
Yes. So of all the people you can choose to watch, let the punter be one of the last ones that you're going to watch.
Crazy.
Unless the snap is low.
Yep. So as they threaten the shield there, it's like we don't even have enough officials with 8, right?
Right.
We need help back there. I think we should move the umpire back and create a 3-person backfield for punts. I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
But no?
Well,
so
we need some
it's an exercise in transition because you're probably going to look at the player coming in hard around, you know, the kicking team right. And then that guy gets picked up with a pretty good block. And so how fast can we transition to a different block? What if somebody else is threatening the kicker? That's a really tough call.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have that. And then there's about 900 blindside blocks to evaluate, isn't there?
Yes.
Where do you want to start?
Well, this is where I want to start. I want to ask Corey, number 39, who delivers the first blindside block at about the 30-yard line for hash. He started out at the bottom. So Corey, pretend you're the deep official at the bottom of the screen. Are you going to follow that block all the way across the field and evaluate that block?
Well, I don't know if I'd so much follow him all the way across the field because at some point he disengages. And so then I kind of go back into scan mode to see what my next outside threat is, but there are none. So you eventually get back there. So yes, I would see it, but not because I followed him the whole way, if that makes sense. Because
that's a great answer. Yes. I love that. Okay. Yeah, cool.
As soon as he disengages at about the 50 or whatever that is, I'm looking for something else, but then that's eventually going to take me back to him because that's my first outside threat near the returner.
Gotcha.
And as an aside, I love these sidelines here. Look how far back they are. Like the team. I was like, man, this is awesome sideline.
It's interesting what you just said. So like right here, right? This guy had and this was your gunner, wasn't it?
Yes.
So right here, this disengagement or whatever starts to happen. And so what you're saying is you'd be trying to find something else?
Yeah, I'd be trying to find something else. I mean, I'd be scanning. I mean, obviously there's nothing that's deeper than that. So, you're kind of wide visioned and you're going to have 39 in that wide vision. So that's the first thing that's going to stand out to me as I go into that scan mode. And that'll be the first thing I come back to see. All
right. So outside the field of vision?
100%.
Yes. Clearly blindside.
So it is a blindside block. Attacking. Wait, Dan, I never know what to say first because Daniel.
Yeah, he's gonna
corrupted us all.
No, he hasn't corrupted us. He just attacks us because we didn't say the wrong word.
No, that's not true. You guys do your thing. I'm very comfortable with you guys do your thing and I do my thing. I mean, I think most of the time we end up in the same locale. Not always.
So what do you see on this one? Is this an attacking posture with forceful contact?
Yeah, so just for me, as I'm evaluating this, certainly agree with everyone. Clearly outside the field of vision, no ability for him to defend himself. What we see often, and Corey, I think we talked about this in February, is when you're running full speed and you get contacted by another person running full speed, and you have no sense that they even exist on this planet, it doesn't take much for you to go flying exponentially relative to the contact or the force of the contact that you receive. And so what I see here is 39 kind of dip his shoulder and effectively nudge a player in mid-stride and send him flying. So for me, when I evaluate this, I'm just missing the force element. It's not great. I mean, he kind of comes up through him, and we'd like to see him, use the hands, but really it's just a bump. He just bumps him as they're both running full speed from my perspective. So this wouldn't rise to the level of a foul for a blindside block because I just don't see the force that I need for it to be a foul.
See, I agree with you until I see him kind of duck and lean into that shoulder. It's more than a bump to me at that point.
Yeah.
Like I think he's delivering, and I'd like to see that left forearm. Like, is he delivering it with that? So I think I'm not saying it would rise to a level of foul, automatically, but I think I'd be closer to that being a foul than not. And that's just my judgment, though. So,
yeah.
I would like to see him, shield this guy off. Maybe just kind of bump into him, like you say, like a shoulder to shoulder without that lean in. Because to me, that kind of raises the stakes a little bit, in my opinion.
Kind of a tweener, isn't it?
It is kind of a tweener. It's a good description for it.
Okay. Well, that was decisive.
Well, I think, and I think, and one of the things to remember is Corey makes a really good point that what we want to see is the shield or, the hands up or pushing with the hands. A lot of times when two players are running side by side, they don't do that because it's really not in the toolbox. So this is what they end up doing. And, it doesn't mean it can't be a foul. You still have to make that judgment. But this is what we end up seeing with the shoulder just kind of leaning into the guy. And you just got to decide, is it enough force for you to be a foul or not?
Let me go out on a limb. This one isn't a tweener.
Yeah, I think we'll agree. We'll have full agreement.
I think we're comfortable with this.
Yeah. So huge difference, right? I mean, they're, really a big difference.
This dude launched it to
what's interesting about this one is that left forearm and where does it make contact?
Yep.
Because we can, I think we don't have to talk about whether or not it's blindside. Clearly blindside in nature, and clearly pretty forceful. Mm-hmm. Where does that left forearm make contact? I can't tell for sure from this angle, but there's certainly the potential that it's in the head. We don't see that very often. When was the last time you saw a potential targeting on a blindside block because of contact from the forearm?
Yeah. Yep. For my money, the force isn't to the head neck. There might be some incidental.
I think you're right.
But we've got everything we need here to make this call.
Hey, Corey, I got a question. So let's say on the first block, you said that's a foul. You threw your flag. We don't all carry 17 flags like Daniel Young. What would you drop on the second one? Flag.
I would just drop a beanbag probably.
Okay, you're not one of the hat dudes. You're not one of them dudes who throw a hat for the second.
What if you don't even bring your flag out onto the field? Then what do you throw?
Then you just make a scuff mark in the turf and say, "I'll come back here."
Oh.
No, I'm not going to throw my hat. I mean, my hairstyle. I don't need to be blinding the camera. I mean, every time I throw my hat, I'm like, damn it, I'm on TV with a big shiny bald head. So
yeah, okay, cool. That's just something interesting. I always think about because I've thrown my hat one time and I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yep.
So, but then throwing a beanbag seems weird too.
I did that one time, and the center judge looked at me like I had 3 heads.
Right.
So we may have 2 fouls. There's only 1 flag down.
Right.
Okay, what's behind door number 3? So look at 26. Look at 26 come in. How do you evaluate this contact?
We can start with it's unnecessary. We can start with that.
It's definitely unnecessary.
Absolutely unnecessary.
Yes, totally unnecessary. So to me, that starts, I don't want to say clouds my judgment, but that kind of informs my judgment. If somebody does something that's totally unnecessary, it kind of starts informing my judgment.
Yeah, you get sensitive around that.
Oh, absolutely, I do.
Which means you're not putting this in the same bucket as blindside block in terms of illegal blindside block. In other words, you don't need to see everything you need to see to create a foul that rises to the
great point.
Illegal blindside block.
I see. Absolutely not. Absolutely
not.
not.
Because of how late and unnecessary this is.
Totally unnecessary. Correct.
So we don't have to go to the level of the decision that we went to on the first play. Is it forcible? Is it attacking? Is it not?
Right.
It's unnecessary. So we just have to decide, what our threshold is for that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he's leading with hands, clearly pushing the dude. So
right.
I wouldn't even think about blindside block or blindside block.
Yeah.
But it would be, if we do call this, we need, in my opinion, this does need to be a dead ball foul.
Absolutely.
Yes, 100%.
Let's not be technical and say, the guy wasn't totally down yet.
Correct.
We're not doing that.
But not a UNS.
But not a UNS.
No, not a UNS. Correct.
We've been seeing that a lot, and I'm sure we probably made that mistake many times. But why isn't this? If we call this, why is it not a UNS? What's the rationale?
It's still part of the continuing action.
That's
there's still football action going on. That's this to me, it would have to be okay. Players down, 26 stops, everyone else is stopped. And then he comes up and Pele's this guy, right? Pele, is that the proper word?
Does this rise to the level of Pele?
Well, I don't know if that's a Pele now. Easy.
Well, that's why I got to start getting my New Orleans lingo ready.
I mean, Pele is the correct word, Corey. You use it in the correct context.
Okay, we don't know if it rises to
I just
Pele.
don't know if that's right.
So the illegal blindside block, that dude got Pele.
He got Pele.
The second one?
Okay. Oh, absolutely. The second block, that dude got Pele. But this other one probably wouldn't rise to the level of a Pele.
Okay, good.
All right,
and
so
that can be tough. What Corey said, that can be tough. The understanding that it can be unnecessary, and even if we want to get super colloquial and call it a cheap shot, and still be a part of the continuing action, right? Still being playing football, that can be tough, I think, for folks to decipher and kind of draw that line. But this is a great example of that. Clearly, the defender's letting up. Clearly, it's unnecessary. But it's not so late that we would say this is not a part of the continuing action of the play.
Right. So if we call it, it's unnecessary roughness, and we'll be done with it. Good. Okay. Now forget about that low block by the offense real quick. So this one here, 39, is that 39? Yeah. So this foul here, if you call it, right? How do we enforce this? Because the ball's rolling around on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this can get tricky. I know that's not super clear. The ball just bounced and it's right here, almost in line with that. Do they have palm trees down there? I don't know what that is, but
that looks like 2 palm trees.
Like
right
a
there.
palm tree.
Okay, so
if I'm not mistaken,
3 palm
so trees. Talk about, we have to know when this occurs, because this is huge. Because if we just rely on the spot of the foul right here, that's the 30-yard line, right? So that's the 30, and the kick is picked up right here. I don't have any idea. That's probably
15.
Like the 18, 15.
Yeah. Let's call it the 15 for round numbers. I don't know what's round about 15. But anyways, okay. So we have that one, and then so let's say we call that one, and then we have this one that's clear and obvious. That's at about the 26.
Ooh, I know where you're going, Brandon.
And the return ends at the 35, and then we have this dead ball foul. So let's just ignore the dead ball foul. So let's just say we have 2 illegal blindside blocks.
Yes.
How do you want that reported?
Ooh, gosh. Well, we got 2 officials, first of all. Oh no, Corey, you might be on both of those.
You might have both.
It'd be the same. So I was just coming. I mean, I would report them this way. Brandon, I have 2 fouls by the receiving team, 1 during the kick, 1 during the return. We have blinds.
If I were you, I'd just kind of stop right there and just make sure. Okay, I understand what we're saying. So they're really going to carry different enforcements potentially.
Correct.
Okay, good. Okay.
And then rattle off the numbers too, and be 2 blindside blocks. And then at that point, that's going to trigger you. Okay, so we need to decline the during the return one.
Maybe.
During the kick. What do you mean maybe?
Well, if the one during the return is way back, we know where it is right now. But as you're reporting to Brandon, we don't necessarily know where that foul during the return was. It could have been behind the end of the kick.
Well, I'm working this play here. I didn't know we switched to imagination land. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Of course, we need to know where those spots are relative to one another. And so at that point, I'd say, okay, Brandon, at that point, I'd probably bring the back judge and say, Daniel, where's your beanbag? Where's the end of the kick? Because I probably won't know that right off the top of my head. Or if I did, I'd forgotten it because I'm trying to keep 2 fouls straight and report these properly. So I just, hey, Daniel, where's your beanbag? I've got it at the 16. Perfect. So Brandon, we'll go half the distance from the 16. Well, I guess I wouldn't even say that. I'd say the end of the kick is the 16. We need to take that one, and because the other one's at the 27, 28.
All right. So everybody understands what we're talking about. This foul, the second blindside block, has a basic spot of the end of the run. The first blindside block has a basic spot of the end of the kick, right? Yep. So, I mean, it's, that's why that beanbag is so important for the end of the kick. We need as trivial as it may seem at times, we got to get that beanbag down. And this is a great play example to show why. So yeah, for this play, I absolutely it's going to go back. It's going to go back from this spot back here because the spot of the foul is in advance of the basic spot. But easy to get messed around, and turned around on this stuff if we don't report it properly.
So, okay, sorry, go ahead. I was gonna wait till you're done.
That's it. I am done.
Okay. Well, let's put the rest of this stuff together. Let's put the low block back in. And let's put the dead ball foul back in.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I know.
Okay.
So now we got flags all over the place.
Yep. Flag somewhere up there. That's on the offense. Yep. And then a dead ball foul. I'll just put it right here on number 26.
Okay.
So we know that the question now becomes, wait, if we have live ball fouls by both teams, the question we have to answer, and I know we did this last week too, but this is always good stuff. Question we have to answer, live ball fouls by both teams. Does the team last in possession, did they get the ball with clean hands? And
in this situation, the answer is no, right?
The answer is no, except it is. Except they did. because of PSK.
Exactly.
Philosophy tells us that the reason PSK exists is to consider and kind of deem those fouls during the kick by
to
team
be post-possession.
Yeah, to have occurred after. Correct. Almost as if they occurred after.
So we can't forget that because that's easy to screw that up.
Right. So we would actually, it'd be quite an interesting thought to try to work through this in the moment, because we would really want to answer, okay, fouls by both teams, but then just go to the team last in possession. Did all of their fouls occur basically, with clean hands or before the change of possession? Foul during the return, foul during the kick. Does that qualify for PSK? Yes. Okay, now they have the option, right? They have the option to either accept offsetting fouls, which then would enforce their dead ball foul from that succeeding spot.
Which we don't want to do.
Which they would never want to do. So we have to explain that to them.
Right.
Or which they would want to do is pretty much decline the low block on the kicking team. We're gonna enforce their live ball penalty, which basically hurts them worse, which we already diagrammed, and then the dead ball foul will be enforced after that.
So coach is pretty much going to get the ball 1st and 10 on the what is that, the 4.5, 3.5 yard line?
8 to the 4, 16 to the 8, 8 to the 4-ish.
Okay, so the 4 yard line, and that's pretty much his only option, Team B's only option, because otherwise we're going to enforce 15 from the previous spot and the automatic first down. Well, succeeding. Right. It's succeeding, but the succeeding spot would,
Wow, what a play. Thank you, Brazil.
Right.
Decline the second one, yep.
Crazy kick plays, that's the theme.
Hey,
so far. I don't know that it'll play out.
Let's play 1 and play 2 theme.